Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bridget and I cover all things true crime. And today we have a live podcast about Shawn Grate. So I want to welcome everyone that's watching live, listening live, and to anyone listening to the replay. So welcome in everyone that's in chat at the moment. Yes, I am so close to 2,000 subscribers. In fact, I am one subscriber away from 2,000 subscribers. So if you are listening for the first time and you are interested in all things true crime, please subscribe to the channel. I am starting back after a bit of a break, a huge break, but I am back creating content focused with true crime. So I'd love if you would join and share this as well with all of your true crime interested friends. I'm not sure if the notification has gone out actually, because we don't have, unless something's going on with my stream. Can everyone hear me okay? Everything okay audio and visual wise? Just making sure that we're all here, we can all hear. Let me check on my end. So it sounds like there is something going on with my mic. I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but I will look at that for next week. He looks a lot different. So there's a photo on screen of what he looked like on, I believe this was on the day of his arrest, but he looks so different at his trial. So I don't know if you guys know who Shawn Grate is. He is a more recent serial killer. I know people that are interested in true crime, we look at sort of the classics, the classic crazy guys like Ted Bundy. This guy is more of a recent guy. You may have watched his trial. It's actually on YouTube if you want to go and watch it. I've watched part of it. I haven't been able to watch the whole thing, but I'm going to continue to do that because this case is just really quite wild. So in getting into this case, one thing that a lot of you that are interested in true crime may have heard of his name, or you may have heard of the 911 call in this case. The 911 call in this case is sort of what drew me to it. I've listened to it quite a few times, and I was listening to it last week again, and I thought, I really want to really dive into it. So we're going to start the case with the 911 call. So for the purposes of this stream, I've decided that in talking about the woman in this 911 call, she is identified in the court case and her name is used, but she really would prefer to remain anonymous, I believe. So we're going to respect that, and she's going to be Jane Doe in this. So I want to set a picture for you before we listen to the 911 call. And this is one of those calls that sort of haunt you a little bit. So I want to, hang on, let me pull up the image. So there's an image on screen of what this woman is looking at when she's making this call. So I want to set the scene for you before we play it. This woman, Jane Doe, she has been abducted and held against her will. She was tied to the bed using the mattress and some clothes, I believe. She was tied to the bed. It's 6:48 in the morning when she makes this call. She's laying next to the man who's abducted her and has assaulted her any way possible that he can. So she's laying there and she manages to get free. She manages to get his phone, and she's standing in the doorway making this 911 call. She's standing there whilst he's asleep on the bed with that brown sheet covering him, and she's calling to be saved, to be rescued from emergency services. She can't leave the room, and she'll explain why in the 911 call. But I wanted to sort of paint the picture, and I'm going to leave the image on screen whilst you listen to the 911 call so that you can imagine that you're in her position when you're listening to the call. Let me know as it's playing if you've heard this before, your thoughts. I want you to listen to the 911 operator. Tell me what you think about how she's questioning this woman as well. I've got a lot to unpack from that. I'm not going to be able to hear it, so I'm going to mute myself and listen to it on stream. So there may be a little delay when I come back because of the delay in time. So let's go into the call now.
What is the address to your emergency?
By the 4th Street Laundromat.
What is it?
4th Street Laundromat.
What's the problem?
I've been abducted.
What's your name? How do you spell your last name? Who abducted you?
Shawn Grate.
You said John Green?
Shawn Grate.
Where's he at now?
Asleep.
Where's he sleeping at?
In the bedroom.
In what bedroom?
There's 2 houses right by the laundry street. And it's in one of those houses.
But you're at the laundromat?
No, I'm in the bedroom with them.
What color's the house? Is it across? If I'm looking at the laundromat, which way is it?
If you're looking in the laundromat, it's the one on the left of the 2.
You don't know what color the house is?
Yellow. Please hurry.
Does he have a car?
No. Well, he's down the street.
So what's your phone number you're calling me from?
I don't know.
And you think it's a yellow house?
I think so, but it's on the left.
Is it an apartment?
No, it's a house.
Okay, does he own the house?
No, he broke into it.
Does anybody actually live there?
I think they've been abandoned.
And his name is Shawn Grate?
Yes.
Like Grate?
Yes.
Does he have a weapon?
He's got a taser.
Where do you live? What does he look like? Is he a white male or a black male?
White.
Is he like 6 foot or is he shorter than that?
He's like 6'1", 6'2".
Do you know how much he weighs?
Probably 175.
Are you injured?
A little.
What color is his hair?
Brown.
Do you know what color his eyes are? What's he wearing?
Nothing right now.
Okay, stay on the phone with me. Stay on the line with me, okay? Is he still sleeping?
Yes.
Where did he take you from?
My apartment. I mean, I was walking with him.
You were walking with him?
Mm-hmm.
Where were you walking to?
I had known him for like a month and a half.
Is there any way you can get out of the building?
I don't know without waking him, and I'm scared.
Is there a bathroom in the house?
Well, his bedroom is closed, and he made it so it would make noise.
Does If you told him you had to go to the bathroom, he would do something to you?
Yeah, because he had me tied up.
So are you tied up now?
Well, yeah, but I kind of freed myself.
Is he in the same room with you?
Yes.
Is it his phone you have?
Yes. Are they on the way?
Yeah, we have officers we're sending.
Please send them up.
Okay, if you're worried you don't have to talk, you can just set the phone down, okay? I just need to hear if the officers find you or not. Are you upstairs or are you downstairs?
We're downstairs. There's a door. There's a side door on the right of the left house, and that's where we enter. Immediately there's a kitchen right there, and then the bedroom is right off from the kitchen.
Okay. Do you need an ambulance? Are you bleeding from anywhere?
Not anymore.
Where were you bleeding from? You don't have to talk if you don't need to, okay? Do you know where he lives?
No. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I woke him up.
You just set the phone down. Are you still there? Are you still there?
How much longer?
What?
How much longer?
Do you hear any officers outside?
No.
Okay, they're in the area.
See if they can come in the side doors, though, softly.
Is there a padlock on the bedroom door, or is it just a regular lock?
No, I don't even know if it's locked. It doesn't have a knob, so
Can you get up and see if you can get out?
I'm afraid of waking him. If I knew the cops were right there, I would do it. I don't even know if it opens, how it opens.
Is there a window around there you can look out?
Yeah, but the floor squeaks and it's right by his head.
Are you laying down?
No, I'm standing right by the bedroom door.
And you can't open it?
What?
Can you open it?
I'm afraid without making noise.
Is the door to the house open?
I don't know, probably, maybe. I don't think he has a key, I'm not sure. Because I think he broke in here.
Can you see out any window that you're at?
They're all curtains shut.
that noise?
I don't hear anything.
If you think you can get out, you need to get out.
Not unless they were right here. He would hear me, catch me, and he's strong.
He's on the first floor. Are you at the house closest to the laundromat or the other one? Are you the one closest to the laundromat or the other one?
We were standing in the laundromat looking at the two houses. It would be on the left.
If you're looking out of the laundromat, so if you're looking at the laundromat, it'd be the one on the right. At the laundromat. If you're looking at the laundromat, it'd be the one on the left.
Side door. Side door.
And the side door. The side door to the right.
Okay, I can hear him.
You hear him?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you think you can get out? Are you out of the bedroom?
Yes. It doesn't have a doorknob. You need to push.
The door doesn't have a doorknob?
No.
Can you see them?
No, have them push the door a little.
He said push the door. Are they on the other side of the door?
Yeah, I think so.
She said have you guys push the door. There's no doorknob there.
Just push it slowly. Where'd they go?
Can you get out of the bedroom?
And the door is doesn't have a knob.
If you're looking all on the mat, it's on the left. If you're looking out on the mat, come in. The same thing. Can you hear anybody right now?
I heard the side door open.
She heard the side door open.
Where'd they go? I'm out of the bedroom.
You're out? Okay, can you get to the door where you can see out? Huh? Can you get out of the house?
Locked.
It's locked. Are you at the door?
Yeah, I am.
She's at the door. You're on the door to the right-hand side of the house.
Yeah.
She's at the door on the right side of the house. She got out of the bedroom. Is there a window there?
Yeah, I'm looking out and they tell them to come back.
She said,
Hurry, hurry.
she said to hurry up and come back. Can you?
Yeah, they can see me if they come
locked.
to it.
The door is locked. No, the bedroom door had no door handle. This one, it's locked. You can't get out. Can you unlock the door at all?
Come on out. Hurry up. Get out of here. Where is he?
Bedroom sleeping.
Still sleeping?
Yeah.
Okay, they have her.
He's not armed.
He's unarmed?
Yeah.
All right. You need to go. Take that. Here's the blanket. Well, if you can't be in there, here, cover yourself up. Tell me what happened. What happened?
So that is the 911 call that the victim Jane Doe makes, and when you listen to the ending of that, you can hear that the police have obviously come in and arrested him. He was completely nude, and so was she. According to the trial and the testimony of, I believe, Jim Cox, who was one of the officers on scene, she had a lot of cuts and abrasions, and they popped some clothes on her, and then he was taken to the station and interrogated. Hey Tulips and Roses, welcome in everyone. So that's a really emotional 911 call. It's probably one of those calls that I'll always remember forever. A lot of people have criticized the 911 operator and said that I'm not 100% sure of the criticism. I think that she did a great job at getting information out. I think that maybe she just seemed a little sort of flat, but I mean, it is her job to get as much information as possible. The only thing was she was trying to push her to get her to leave the room, and as you could hear in the call, that if she left the room, she was terrified because she's in such a small room, because it's not a very big room. You can see from the photo she was so close to him, and she just sort of kept pushing at her, but in the end, Jane Doe is safe, and her identity has been released. If you go and listen to the trial, you will hear her name, but I just prefer not to use her name just because she didn't want her name out there. So there's a couple of timelines I have to share with you from this. But so basically what happened straight after, I hope the birds aren't annoying if you can hear them. I need to work on my microphone setup. If anyone can help me with that would be amazing. Anyway, so the call was made at 6:48 a.m. in the morning, and Shawn Grate had just fallen asleep. He'd had 2 days without any sleep. He'd been assaulting Jane Doe this entire time, and he ended up laying next to her, and she managed to escape. When they go to the police station after that, he is interrogated, and a lot more information comes out because, at the time they're thinking this is just a man who's abducted. Not just a man, but in the scheme of it changes a lot because he is seen as an abductor, but then over the next several hours it's known that he is a murderer, and it started with 2 victims, and we're now looking at 5 victims, so he is classed as a serial killer. So I don't know, let's go through the timeline that I have created for him. Let's get rid of the photo of Shaun. So the call happens on September 13th, 2016. So if you look at the timeline on screen, you can see that he actually is committing crimes before this. So February 6, 2015, Rebecca Lacey is reported missing. On March 16th, 2015, her body is found. On August 16th, 2016, so a month before the Jane Doe call and abduction, Elizabeth Griffiths goes missing. And September 8th, 2016, Stacey Stanley goes missing. September 13th, Jane Doe calls 911 saying she's been abducted. And that same day, in the house that Shawn Grate is actually he was living in, but it wasn't his home. He just sort of strolled in there. they actually find the bodies of Stacey Stanley and Elizabeth Griffith. Now, it's described in court that when it comes to Elizabeth Griffith, she is found in a closet and she's bound, and it's horrific, and she's found face down. Now, they didn't see her body straight away. It actually took Shaun admitting to it in, hey Lilybell, it actually took Shaun admitting to the murders for them to actually, the CBI to go back and go, oh wow, okay, there are bodies here. Because she was found in a closet, but there were stuffed toys and clothes in front of the closet, and the closet had been taped up with like a duct tape or something. The reason that they could tell that something was going on because there was a lot of like fly and maggot larva, and the unmistakable smell that everyone discusses that I hope I never have to smell, which is the smell of death. So then they've realised this is not just an abduction of Jane Doe, that there's actually two bodies of two women that they find. During this time, Shawn Grate actually admits to a third body in a different area, and they find that a Jane Doe that they had from 2007, which they believe was his first murder. They believe that he sort of admits to the connection to that, and then they decide to reopen Rebecca Lacey's case. So in terms of victims, we have our Jane Doe. We have Stacey Stanley. She was strangled to death. She was found in that home as well. Elizabeth Griffith. She was also strangled to death. Then we have an ex-girlfriend of his, Candace Cunningham. She was the one that was found in that Madison Township. Then we have Rebecca Lacey. Now, with Rebecca's case, the autopsy had actually classed her as a drug overdose, but Grate actually confesses to killing her. And then we also have the remains of the Jane Doe that's actually then identified by Shaun as Dana Lowry. So we have all of these victims from him. So in a sense that this Jane Doe, in surviving, she's actually helped all of these families find answers for their loved ones. Now, I want to talk a little bit about one of the victims. Let's pop up some of their photos on screen. So we have photos of the 5 victims that were sadly murdered. I want to talk a little bit about Elizabeth Griffith. So she was one of the women that were found at the house, and I want to talk about her story because it looks like some of these women were intentionally targeted because Shaun felt that they had some sort of sign of weakness. So Elizabeth was a woman she was 29 years old and she was schizophrenic. She was high functioning though because she was able to live by herself. She took her medication religiously, and she went to all of the appointments that she needed to, the counselling she needed to, and she did really well. She was doing really, really well. She was described as being very, very nice, very innocent, and quite childlike. So that could be a component as to why she was targeted by Shaun. When she was found, she was actually mummified, which is just horrendous. Her hands were bound behind her back. Her ankles were bound, and she had a ligature that went from her right ankle to her neck. They had to cut the wall. The CBI had to cut the wall to get Elizabeth out of where she was. So really, really horrific. She sort of stood out in my mind. I mean, they all stand out, but that was just really upsetting to hear. And if you listen to on YouTube the introduction, what's it called? Why have I forgotten? The opening statements from the prosecution. He does a really good job at explaining how these 3 victims were left. What had happened to Jane Doe and how it affected her, and then the two women that were murdered. So with that being said, I want to give a little background into him as well. You may have actually seen him and seen something about him and not realized it's him. He's a little bit like that. His wife actually went on the Dr. Phil show. Let me pull up the photo I have of that, of his wife. You may see the photo and go, oh yeah. So she actually went on and discussed him, and he looks so different in so many different photos. It's really interesting. He's got a face that can change a lot, and I think that there's a couple of serial killers that are like that. They can sort of alter their appearance a little. It's really interesting. His weight fluctuates, and his style and everything like this. So she was with him for about a year. So they got married. She explains it on Dr. Phil and obviously I can't play anything from Dr. Phil because, he's very strict. But she explains that it was a very whirlwind. He love bombed her, and sort of swept her off her feet and everything like that. They end up having a child together, and she follows him around. They sort of end their relationship. She was scared of him. He changed a lot after they got married, isolated her from her family. They tend to do that sort of thing. And she ended up following him around. He would travel a lot, and she would go where he was because she wanted their daughter to have him in her life. And she continues to do that for quite some time. She didn't really have any idea that this was going on. Obviously, he led the double life like a lot of them do. A lot of serial killers actually do have families behind the scenes. I can think of BTK as being one of them. I actually read the book recently in the last couple of months of the BTK killer's daughter. It's a really fascinating read. If you are interested, you should definitely check it out. So she's obviously divorced him. I believe he has 2 children. I think he has a child with another woman as well. So that kind of sucks. So a couple of questions being asked in the chat. He knew her for over a month and did this. So I think he got to know all of these women a little bit. For instance, with the Jane Doe, he met his wife at church, and he was really lovely and nice. He met Jane Doe. I think it was at college, or they were doing a course or something, and they just started chatting. He met one of the other victims when she had a flat tire, and he offered to change it. So I think he has that he has that initial sort of friendly facade that gets them to sort of trust him a little bit as well. The trial, Jack's mom asks, so the trial is not for all of his victims. So it is a bit sort of all over the place with this actually. And I'll get into the trial stuff in a minute, and then try and explain it, because it's not a trial for all of the victims. It's only for 3 of them at first. Kanga Blue says, has it been confirmed how many victims he's had? Was he on a spree or longer duration? So his first murder victim is apparently 2007, and his next victim is 2015. So I would assume that there could potentially be other victims that he's just not confessed to, that maybe there's no evidence to prove that he did them. Maybe they're still investigating that themselves. I'm not sure. This is still playing out in courts as well, as it does when there's death penalty. So we went over the timeline, didn't we? We went over that timeline. So let's go over the other timeline that I have, and it's for the trial, so that it might explain a little bit about the situation. So the first trial that he has is a death penalty trial, and it's for Jane Doe, Stacey Stanley, and Elizabeth Griffith. So it's for the 3 people that were in that home that he was in. Now, Jane Doe obviously survived, and she did testify, and you can go and listen to it. It's tough stuff. But so these are the first 3 that he is charged with. So the first trial starts on April 23rd. May 2nd, he pleads guilty. He tried to sort of plead not guilty by reason of insanity, which is just ridiculous, but they all try that, don't they? May 7th, he's found guilty of murdering Stacey Stanley and Elizabeth Griffith. June 1st, so this is in 2018, this is 2 years later. June 1st, he's sentenced to death. There was no reaction. I watched that. There was just no reaction to him. Thanks, Lily Bell. There was no reaction to him to receiving the death penalty, but I think he probably assumed that would happen. His first execution date was September 13th, 2018, and that was exactly 2 years to the day that he was discovered to be the vile person that he is. So then after that trial, they then charged him with the murders of Rebecca Lacey and Candace Cunningham. So instead of actually going to trial for that, he pled guilty straight away. And I think that was probably done to take the death penalty off I think he probably did that to take the death penalty off the table. So he was sentenced to life in prison without parole for Rebecca plus 17 years. And then he pled guilty to the murder of Dana Lowry, sentenced to life in prison without parole for 16 years. So the sort of thank you so much, Lily Bell. The sort of what's happening now is that he's trying to get out of being executed. So he's continually fighting the death penalty. So the first appeal was he lost December of last year, actually. So he's actually since the last update is February this year, 12th of February, he's gotten a new attorney to say that his trial attorneys didn't do the right thing, like they always do that. Hey TT and Z, nice to see you. So I think the aim at the moment for him is to try and get it commuted to life instead of a death penalty. I tried to see if there was a new execution date, and I can't actually see. I can't find it. So if anyone finds an execution date that's scheduled, feel free to leave it in the comments of the video. I don't think there is one because there's active appeals going on. I'm not sure how that exactly works, but I know that his first, because I think they always, when in sentencing, they give you a date, an execution date, but because of the appeal, that was sort of wiped from it. So he's currently fighting to get that death penalty rejected, I believe. Now, I was considering writing to him. Last year, I attempted to start writing to people currently in prison. Unfortunately, the pandemic happened and prison stopped giving prisoners their mail, and I only ever received 2 back, one of them being from Lisa, who was executed, but I don't have my PO box anymore just because it was time to renew it and I'd only used it twice, so I didn't think that it was, I'd spent a couple $100 and it was just not worth it. So, but I would be interested in seeing if he would respond. I'm not 100% sure if he would as well. No idea who the governor of Ohio is, Miss Justice. So a couple of little things I want to also add. I'll just take a little drink break. So he has been charged with all of the murders now, but he's currently fighting the death penalty. So he was living a double life the entire time. So this is a little interesting thing that I found out about him through my research, is that as in 2016, when everything's sort of going on and he's obviously escalating, he's homeless, and he starts living in people's campers at a campground. He breaks into them, and because it's June, I think summer's just about to hit, so a lot of people were like stocking up their campers before they would come and spend their summer probably with them, and he would break into them and steal everything and live in them for a while. He'd trash them. Whenever he'd move on quite often, and the owners of the campers would come and report it, and police would come out. What he ended up doing is he was actually like stockpiling all of the food and items, and he actually made himself a fort in the woods nearby, and he actually would take all of the food there. And during that time, he actually broke into a store and stole cash, a cooler to use in his fort, tasers, and a paperweight that looked like brass knuckles. And nothing actually happened with that. There was no evidence in the store. There was in the camper van, and it wasn't until he was actually arrested on September 13th that they actually pieced together that he was the one that had done all of that. So not only was he charged with the murder, but he was charged with a whole bunch of other things. So with his first trial, which was for all of the things that happened in the county, or we would call it suburb of Ashland, he was charged with 2 counts of aggravated murder, kidnapping and multiple sexual assaults of Jane Doe, tampering with evidence, breaking and entry, and burglary. So I think it ended up being about 15 charges against him just for that one. And then in the Richland County, he was charged with the deaths of Candace Cunningham, Rebecca Lacey, and Dana Nicole Lowry. During all of this time as well, he starts sending letters to news stations. So he's one of those. We all know those ones. And he went on, let me see if I can find, I had it pulled up. Let me have a look if I can find it now. I don't know if I do. But he actually went on to news stations about how, especially with Elizabeth Griffith, who was the 29-year-old who had schizophrenia, he would talk about how she wanted to die and he was just trying to scare her, but he accidentally killed her because he was trying to stop her from completing suicide. Absolutely ridiculous in my eyes. But yeah, he starts contacting news stations and putting his story out there. Let me pop up a couple of other photos of him so that you can see that he changes a lot. His appearance changes a lot. Let me move this. Oh, that's not what I want you to do. So there's 2 photos. So that photo on the mugshot looking photo, that was the day that he was arrested, and then the other photo is when he was in court as well. What else do I want to cover? The house has been demolished where the 2 women were killed and Jane Doe was discovered. It has been demolished. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen on that property, but I think it's always good when they do that as well. Jack's mom mentioned about the ex-wife. You can listen to, it is on YouTube. You can go and see the Dr. Phil show and see what she says about it. She's worried about telling her daughter, obviously, about what he did. And she said that he did scare her quite a lot. His eyes would change, as a lot of unfortunate victims or partners of serial killers say that they do as well. So that you can go on YouTube and watch that as well. But I'm really glad the house was demolished. I think that's always really good when that happens for the victims. Let me see if I can fix this. There we go, that's better. Let me see what else I wanted to cover with this, but it's just really interesting because I don't think it's covered. I don't think he's covered as much as I would have thought. Like, did you guys know about Shawn Grate before this? Oh, there was also another girlfriend, Christina, who went public and talked about their relationship. She talked about they were together for 6 years, and she ended the relationship when he broke her hand, which is just horrific. She said that she always thought that he would kill her if she didn't get out. She thought that she'd be one of his victims. So really grateful that both Christina and Amber, the wife, were able to get out of there, and also the daughter as well. So that's where we sort of stand. There is a lot more that we can go into. I do have the, what is it called? The notice. It's 60 pages long. It's the most recent what would you call it? The death penalty was affirmed. The most recent affirmation of that. I do have the whole thing. I might pop it in our True Crime Facebook group if anyone's interested in taking a read of it. It's 66 pages, so I'm obviously not going to read the whole thing, but it gives you a huge overview of what he did. He's always been trouble, and before Amber, before his first wife, he had been in jail before, and I think he just escalated and sadly ended up becoming a serial killer. So that is Shawn Grate. Yes, he was crying, Miss Justice. There's a photo on screen of him, sort of really interesting. When he makes a statement, it's about a minute long, and he was like, "It's a great day for everyone." It was just so bizarre. He's a very bizarre individual, but this all started from me being interested in that 911 call, and then it opened up like a can of worms about this person, and it's just wild. It's so wild. I don't really have words to describe it, really. So he's currently 44 years old. He's on death row, but he is fighting that, and probably will continue to do that until all of his appeals have ran out. Considering it's a more recent serial killer as well, so it'll be interesting to follow this and see how all of the appeals go, and to see if they continue to be upheld. I personally think that they will be, because there was just so much evidence. They had on the first trial for the Ashland home, there was a whole day dedicated to just the evidence around the home, and it was disgusting and dirty, and he was squatting in the home. It wasn't his home. He was homeless at the time. So yeah, if you have something that you want to do, please feel free to go and watch that. I think it's on Law and Crime. I don't know. It's really interesting to watch. But yeah, I wanted to bring you that case this week of Shawn Grate. That 911 call will always sort of haunt me a little. So I hope that you enjoyed this week's True Crime podcast on Shawn Grate. Thank you so much to everyone who has listened, who has subscribed. I am 1 subscriber away from 2,000, so I would really love it if you have enjoyed the live or you're listening to the replay, I would really love if you would subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell, and share my channel with your other true crime friends who are interested in this sort of stuff. Next week I will be back with another case. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but you will find out soon. Thank you so much for the support, and I'm starting back after a huge break, but I really hope that as time goes on, I remember how to do this thing called being live. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope that you have a lovely week, and I will see you again next week. Until then, bye for now.